Parah. Okay. Gimel Aleph. Sorry. 7 days before the burning of the parah, they would sequester the Kohen, who was to burn the parah from his house to the burn the parah from his house to the chamber in front of the Bira, in the northeast corner of the temple, and it was called the stone house. They would sprinkle mekatas on him on all 7 days from all the katos ashes that were there. Rabbi Yossi says they would sprinkle mekatas on him only on the 3rd and 7th days. Rabbi Kanina Sagan a Kohen says they would sprinkle mekatas on the Kohen when who burned the parah on all 7 days, but they would sprinkle mekatas on the Kohen Gadol perform the service of Yom Kippur only on the 3rd and 7th days. There were courtyards in Jerusalem built on bedrock, and beneath them was a hollow because of concern of a grave of the deep. And they would bring pregnant women, and they would give birth there and wear their children there. And they would bring oxen with doors on their backs, and when the children would sit on top of them with cups of stone in their hands. When they would reach the spring of Shiloach, the children would ascend and fill the cups, and they would then ascend and sit on top of the doors. Rabbi Yossi says from his place the child would lower the cup and fill it. They came to the Temple Mount and descended beneath the Temple Mount, and its courtyards were hollow because of concern for a grave of the deep. And at the entrance of the courtyard was installed a jug of katos ashes, and they brought a male sheep and had a tied rope between its horns, and they tied the other end of the rope to a stick and wrapped the rope around it, and threw the stick into the jug, and then they hit the male sheep, which sprang backwards, and he took the ashes and consecrated the water, using enough ashes so as to be visible on the surface of the water. But Yossi says, do not give the Sadducees room to hold sway over us. Rather, he took the ashes from the jug and consecrated the water. Okay.
Basically, as you get from the whole procedure, there are lots and lots of extra chumras that we're taking on over here to protect against potential tumah. So you've got these children who have been brought up at Batara that their mothers didn't like. Obviously they didn't have hospitals in those days. But it would be the equivalent today of somebody having a home birth, and making sure that the child, never comes near any kind of tumah. Basically, that's how they would do it in order to prepare the ashes for the paraduma, because they needed to draw water, and the water had to be drawn batara. So now we've got our situation here. I mean, it's not just about having the cows. We've got to have somebody who has been born in tahara and has never been exposed to tumah in order to prepare those things.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I'm sure they've got that base covered somewhere.
Right.
Someone somewhere out there has actually been meshuggah enough to do this, and brought them for that. But if you don't have, I don't know what I honestly don't know what the recourse is. But I guess if you I'm just thinking in terms of being of psak. If you have somebody who you don't know has become tameh, then you don't assume that they have become tameh. Or you can do these chumras over here when you've got that luxury. But if you just simply cannot find anyone that we know has never become tameh, then find somebody who we don't know has become tameh.
All right. Okay, so that's this.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, back into our Mishnah Daled. Lo hayu osin lo chatas al gabe chatas v'lo tinok al gabe chavero. So if they prepared themselves for the all these actions that they did to prepare water and whatever, if that happened, and then a psul happened in one of the in a paraduma, but they had another one lined up, you can't use that same tara for the next cow. Okay, it's got to be done again from the beginning. Everything that was prepared for this cow has got to be done again lishma for the next one. Okay, even that if there were two kids, one of them was prepared for this paraduma, and the other one's just kept tahor for stam. He has to be prepared again. The second one would have to be prepared again specifically for the second one. He can't just like come and be mamale makom. There's an element of lishma in all of these things. Because the kids, they had to be sprinkled, even though they've gone through all of these chumras and been protected all their lives from becoming tameh. They still did a sprinkling on them if they had, from the previous paraduma. Okay, so all these all these things that we're talking about is that when you're sprinkling on them from the existing paraduma, that's assuming you already have one. And nowadays, where we don't have anything left from any paraduma, you were starting from scratch. So I guess we'd have to waive all these. So this, by the way, is the opinion of Rabbi Yossi clearly. Rabbi Akiva Omer lo hayu tzrichin lahazos. He says, forget about it. The kids are fine. We don't need to worry about tumah for them, and we don't need to sprinkle them. And the halacha follows Rabbi Akiva. Lo matzu misheva. So if they didn't have from 7 different cows, remember we said that they sprinkled on the kohen who was going to be performing the ritual. They sprinkled on from all 7 cows that they had, if they had, and so they could prepare the next one. Osin mishesh, then fine, take from 6. Michomesh, mi-arba, mishalosh, mishtaim, achas. Even if there's only had from one previous one, then do whatever you can. Umiyasan, okay. So who were the people who prepared the previous parot adumot? Harishona asa Moshe. So Moshe Rabbeinu made the first paraduma. Hashnia asa Ezra. Now, take a look at how long Moshe's one lasted, because Ezra was coming back from Galus Babel. So that means Moshe lasted all the way through Yeshua, through the first kingdom, through David and Shlomo and whatever until the first Galus, and then Ezra came back from Babel and did the second one. Okay, and there were 5 more from Ezra and onwards, says Rabbi Meir. Chachamim rim sheva me Ezra va'elech. Mi asan. So who are the people who performed these paradumas? This is just historical notes. It's not like halacha or anything. Shimon HaTzadik v'Yochanan Kohen Gadol asu shtaim. They each did 2. Eliehoenai ben Hakov v'Hanam el Hamitzri v'Yishmael ben Piavi asu achas. And each of them did 1. So they came in obviously in quick succession.
There's a note here that says that the first paraduma was Moshe did not actually perform the paraduma service because he was a non-Kohen.
Right, but it was in the time of Moshe, right?
Right, wasn't even qualified to perform the paraduma. The verse states explicitly that it performed by Elazar HaKohen, the son of Aaron. So,
okay. The kevesh hayu osim mehar habayis lahar mishcha. So they made this ramp from Har Habayis to Har Zaysim, and we've seen that in lots of artistic impressions. And since we've just come out of learning Maseches Ohalos, we understand how these things have to be built. I'll just do a quick whiteboard here, just for the sake of it. Move that over there and put you over there. Okay, so you've got let's say you've got Har Habayis over there and Har Zaysim over there. Okay, and they built this ramp or bridge across. Okay, but now the concern that they have for this bridge is that maybe somewhere over here is tumah. Maybe somebody once buried a dead body over here, and then there's going to be tumah, bokas wala bokas v'yoredes, as we keep saying in Oalos. So the tumah is gonna come up. Okay, so what did they do? They built another layer below it. Okay, with it, so this is also kind of like a bridge over here, and in between the bridges, they built these arches, right, like that. Okay, now with arches like this. Now, if the tumah that's great. If the tumah hits here, but if the tumah hits here, if the tumah had to be directly under here, then the tumah is still going to is still going to be able to spread. So what they had on top of it was another layer, and it was always like this, so that the solid pieces were under, so that if you came in, if you had a tumah under here, it would get under here, and it would spread under this arch over here, but it would be protected from going further up. And if it hit under here to the point, if the sorry, let me get the drawing again. So if the tumah hit here and pushed all the way through to here, then it would still come out in an airspace over here and be protected by this ohel over here, so that for sure everyone who walks over here has no danger of becoming tameh.
Right.
Okay, so that's the, and we learned all of this in ohalos, so we're all comfortable with this stuff over here, right? Okay, so kevish hayosim mihara bayis lahara mishcha kipin al gabe kipin. There were arches over arches, but kipa keneged haotim, and the arch would always be opposite the pillar. Mipnei kever hatohom shebo kohen hasorif es Parah Parah kol mesadea yotzin lahara mishcha. This is the path that they took to reach the Har Hazayim. Okay, back to Nagaim.
Okay. I forgot about the arches, but then I remembered in my shir with Rabbi Lubling, we did this whole thing about the arches and everything. I remember now. So, okay, you want me to start at Yud Daled Beis?
Yes.
Okay. He then comes to and sends the living bird. He does not turn his face to the sea, nor to the city, nor to the desert, as stated. And he shall send the living bird out of the city toward a field. He then comes to shave the Metzorah. The Kohen passes a razor over Metzorah's entire body. And the Metzorah then washes his clothes and immerses. The Metzorah no longer causes tumah by entering, but he still causes tumah like a sheretz. He is permitted to enter within the wall, but he is banned from his house for 7 days, and he is prohibited from marital relations. On the seventh day, he shaves a second shaving. Like the first shaving, washes his clothes and immerses. He becomes tahar from causing tumah like a sheretz, but is still tameh as one who immersed on that day, as he is permitted to eat the tithe. When the sun sets, he is permitted to eat truma, and when he brings his atonement, he is permitted to eat kedoshim. Thus, there are 3 stages of becoming tahar for a Metzorah and 3 stages of becoming tahar for a woman after childbirth. Three must shave, and their shaving is a mitzvah, a nazir and a Metzorah. Metzorah and a levium. If these 3 shave without a razor, or if they left 2 hairs, they have accomplished nothing.
Okay.
All right.
Gimel.
Okay, Gimel, base Gimel. Kohen who was blind.
No,
right?
no, Gimel.
Wrong place. I'm sorry.
Gimel. Yeah.
Okay. Nega on the skin is confirmed tummy for as long as 2 weeks, and with 3 symptoms is confirmed tummy. White hair, living skin, or expansion. With white hair or living skin, either initially or at the end of the first week or at the end of the second week. If after the nega was declared tahor with expansion, neither at the end of the first week, at its end of the second week, or after the nega was declared tahor, he is confined tummy for 2 weeks with equal to 13 days. A boil or a burn is tummy for no more than 1 week unless it has one of these 2 symptoms, white hair or expansion. With white hair, either initially at the end of the week or if the negega was declared tahor. With expansion, with the end of the week or if the nega was declared tahor, they can be tummy for 1 week, which equals 7 days. The suckling are confined tummy for as long as 2 weeks, and with 2 symptoms, they are confirmed tummy, deficient blonde hair, or expansion. With deficient blonde hair, initially at the end of the first week, at the end of the second week, or after the nega was declared tahor. With expansion, either at the end of the first week, at the end of the second week, or after the nega was declared tahor, and they become confined tummy for 2 weeks with equal 13 days.
Okay.
And Halem. Yud Zayin Ches. The aleph of which the rabbi spoke is neither large nor small, but of medium size, which is agree. Is that right?
Agori, yeah.
Gori.
That's
The barley of which the barley of which the rabbi spoke is neither large nor small, but of medium size, which is a desert barley. The lentil of which the rabbi spoke is neither large nor small, but of medium size, which is an Egyptian lentil. All movable objects can make tumah when they are as thick as an ox goad, and one is neither big nor small, but of medium size. What is meant by one of medium size? Anyone that is a circumference of 1 handbreadth. The amma of which the rabbi spoke is a medium amma, and one amma measuring sticks were kept in Shushan, a bear at one of the northeastern corner and one of the southeastern corner. The one at the northeastern corner was longer than the amma of Moses by a half finger breadth, and the one at the southeast corner was larger than the one by another half finger breadth. This second measuring stick is thus found to be longer than the amma by Moses by a full finger breadth. And why did the rabbi speak of one large almond measure and one small almond measure? So that the craftsman would take contracts according to the small almond measure and return the finished products according to the large almond measure in order that they should not come to commit me'ilah. Rameya says, all amos mentioned in the context of the temple refer to medium amos, except for the amos of the golden altar, hymn, horn, ledge, and base of the olah offering. Rabbi Yehuda says the amit of the temple structure measures 6 handbreadths, but that of the utensils measures 5 handbreadths. Okay.
Okay.
And let me get this over here. And now we are on to this is Lacham. The Lacham, Gimel base. If a qualified person received the blood and handed it to a disqualified person, he should return it to the qualified person. If he received the blood with his right hand and put it in his left, he return it to his right hand. But if he received it in a sacred vessel and poured it into a non-sacred vessel, he should pour it back into the sacred vessel. If it spilled from the vessel onto the floor and he gathered it up, it is valid. If he applied it to the ramp on the opposite the altar base, or he applied that which should be applied to the lower part of the altar above that which should be applied to the upper part below, or he applied that which should be applied within the sanctuary on the outside, or that which should be applied on the outside within it, if there is some lifeblood, a qualified person should again receive blood. If one slaughters a sacrifice with the intent to eat something which is not meant to be eaten, or burn upon the altar something which is not meant to be burnt, it is valid. If Elliot invalidates it if the intent was to eat something which is meant to be eaten, or to burn upon the altar something which is meant to be burnt. But less than an olive's volume, it is valid. If the intent was to eat half an olive's volume, or burn upon the altar half of olive's volume, it is valid for eating and altar burning for not be combined. If one slaughters a sacrifice with the intent to eat an olive's volume of the hide, the gravy, the sediment, the flavor of shreds, the bones, the gideon, the hooves, and the horns beyond its time or outside its place, it is valid, and one is not liable in regard to them for pigul, noso, or tummy. Okay. We have the subos, vav aleph. A woman's finding in her husband's handiwork belong to her husband, but her inheritance he enjoys the offer of her lifetime. Restitution for her grace and dismemberment belongs to her. Rabbi Yehuda ben Sarah says, when it is in a hidden place, 2/3 belong to her and 1/3 to him, and when it is in an open, 2/3 belong to him and 1/3 to her. His share is given to him immediately, but as far hers, land is bought with it, and he enjoys the offer. If one agrees to give money to his son-in-law and his son-in-law dies, the sages say he can say, to your brothers I wanted to give, but to you I do not want to give. If she agreed to bring him 1,000 dinars corresponding to this, he must contract to give her 1,500 dues. But corresponding to appraised goods, he can contract to give a fifth less. Goods appraised for 100, which are worth 100, but he has nothing but 100. Goods appraised for 100, but she gives 31 selim, and a dinner for 400, she gives 500. Whatever the gross groom contracts, he contracts less than a fifth. Okay. And most okay. Gimel. If he is liable to matzah to masa'ani and poor Israelites and poor priests may take, but the poor Israelites must sell theirs to priests at a type of price of truma, and the money is theirs. He who smites is praiseworthy, and he who threshes, how does he do it? He must hang baskets around the necks of the animals and puts them into the same kind. Thus he neither muzzles the animal nor gives it truma to eat. The product of truma is truma, but the product is chulin. But the product of festival of Ma'aser Rishon is spontaneous growth of the 7th year from truma of outsiders in Eretz Elam Baduma and the first fruits of Tkulin. Product is hektish, or the medzaitzu, which above them is Ma'aser Sheni is chulin, and he redeems them at the time that they were sown. 100 beds of truma and 100 of chulin are permitted of a kind that seed disintegrates, but of a kind whose seed does not disintegrate, then even there are 100 of chulin and 1 of truma, all are forbidden.
Okay.
I want to say that tomorrow, Monday, is regular time, 6